All right, all right. So as always on Monday, you already know we're coming with the live stream. And today I have a special guest with me, JP Indy Sooner, a good friend of mine, someone who I've done a lot of talking to with about the current situation at OU. We're going to hear all from him. Jant Sports is with me as well, great content creator. And we're going to be waiting on Chris Griffin of the Horns Down podcast to join us as well. And the crew will all be here. But as we're waiting, the thing that I think I want to start off with, I got to get your opinion, JP, about what's going on with OU. I think that's naturally where we should start here, right? You're new on the show, so give us your thoughts on what's going on, because Jance, for you and for everybody coming in here right now, JP, he does great Sooner content, and if he's saying something, you know, his insight is well placed. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, it's I can't even tell y'all how crazy the last 48 hours has been. As an Oklahoma fan, but even deeper than that, you know, God has blessed me with some connections to the program just through some people that I know, and that I've been blessed to work with, and also, you know, my sister runs track there, and so she's friends with a lot of the players. And dog, like as each hour has waned, I've gotten more upset.
Yeah. It seems to me like as time went on, it just got progressively worse. Like any argument that this was a business decision went out the window at about like hour 3, right? And then it was just like more was coming out and more.
Yeah. And that's what I've tried to explain to people all day, right? Like people are over here, well, why are you so upset with what he did? I mean, it's a business decision. He got to do what's best for his family. Isn't this the same thing that you guys did to the Big 12 when you actually go into the SEC? I'm like, hold on, let me stop you right there. Joe C has for years, our athletic director and Texas athletic director has for years expressed to Bob Bowlesby their displeasure. More Joe C, because the reason the Big 12 is kind of in the position they were in for a while was Texas, but we'll get to that another time. What he was saying was, or what he said was, yo, we need to do some things to bolster this conference and to actually show that you are actually wanting us to be here, because we've done so much for you, but you're basically the one conference that doesn't champion us. Like you just do things the way you want to do it. We don't have any say. Alabama does in the SEC, USC does in the Pac-12, Clemson does in the ACC, but we're just kind of hung out to dry. And so that had happened years ago. Not to mention we were going to leave it in 2010 before we added TCU and Baylor. So I'm just really kind of confused about how that comparison gets made, because Lincoln didn't tell Bob Stoops, Joe Castiglione, the AD, or Joseph Haraz, the president. They literally didn't know till the day of. They knew about LSU and the smoke, and they actually had re-upped his contract to pay him $12 million. Yeah, they were going to do that and give him everything he wanted, all the upgrades he wanted, everything. And they thought, hey, we just have to hold off LSU. We're good. They felt good about it. And then that morning they wake up, Lincoln's already announced that he's going.
So this changes a lot for me, because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So one of the questions before I let you keep going, because this is just very pressing to me, in your opinion, why USC over LSU? Because if you're going to leave, right? Like LSU is.
You didn't see his statement, did you?
I read it, but like I get it's California and stuff.
I'm a nice person, so I'll be nice. I'll put it nicely. A lot of other people have put it in a different way. A lot of people think he's soft and that he didn't want the competition.
I mean,
and it's offensive. It's offensive to Oklahoma, because, like, yeah, are we going to the SEC and are we going to have to compete with big boys like Alabama and Georgia, LSU? Yeah, but you know what? We're a big boy too, right? Like, we're a blue blood program, straight up. And so if you feel like you couldn't go there and win with us, are you serious? Right? And I get it. Is it smart? Because you go to the Pac-12 and that conference is about the second worst conference in all of college football, and so
or worse,
that's all you
depending
have.
on the year.
Yeah, and that's all you have, right? And so, is this Chris?
This is Chris. Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt everybody watching. Y'all know Chris Griffin of the Horns Down podcast. JP, Chris, y'all definitely need an introduction. I have a feeling y'all are gonna hit it off.
Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just sorry for the delay, but it's been a doozy today, man. It's been a doozy.
It's been a doozy for sure.
Crazy around here. Just drove by campus.
Traders everywhere.
It's just darkness everywhere. Just really kind of like a summer effect. Like even I see people walking around campus, and it's just like, is this real? Is this really what we're doing?
Yeah.
But it's crazy, man, right now. I have no words for like what's going on with this whole situation. This is not on you.
Yeah. So really quick to finish what I was saying, Chris, I'll loop you in here. Ty was asking me why did Riley choose USC over LSU, and even larger than that over OU. And what I was saying is the consensus is that most people from a surface level could say, okay, he didn't want to go to the SEC. And compete against everybody that's in there. The Pac-12 offers you a path of least resistance, which sure makes sense. You saw the contract numbers. I don't know if you did, but it was $110 million, and they paid for both of his houses like nuts. They're desperate, so I get that. And I told people all day, I'm not mad necessarily that he left, even though it's unprecedented and it's never happened at a blue blood school like this. I can get it. But it's the way he did it, right? Is what I was talking about before. But to get to your larger point, Ty, the reason that I saw from his statement, at least, is that I think he wants to build his own thing. Because I don't know if we can really ever say this was his own thing at Oklahoma. Obviously, we can say like the quarterbacks that he brought and raised up, like, yeah, they did good stuff. The Heisman winners, college football playoff, but like a lot of consensus from Oklahoma fans, and Chris, you can back this up. If you feel the same way, was that he inherited Bob Stoops.
Inherited a Lamborghini
because Bob Stoops set him up for that, and that's why Bob Stoops is so mad right now, because he set this whole thing up for this guy and said, "Hey man, here's the keys. Like you can add whatever you want to it, but the engine is hunting." And not only did by some fans' accounts did Lincoln there were some parts that seemed to start to fall off, but now he's trying to take the engine with him out to USC. Like recruits are taking off, like all these different things, and the way that it happened, nobody knowing, just real shady. But I think he wants to build his own thing. So I know I'm talking a lot. I'm getting through it.
No,
I think he wants to build his own thing at USC, and I can see it. Like if he can resurrect USC, like a lot of people believe he can, like that's gonna put his name on a lot of lights. And then there's a new challenge, like he said, it's a new challenge. Like I said, I can see all that.
Isn't going to the SEC a new challenge?
Look, that's what you would think.
Isn't that your opportunity to build your own thing? Is a new in the conference with the biggest national exposure?
It tells you what you need to know. That's all I'm saying, right? Like it tells you what you need to know, because he wants to build out there at SC where honestly the expectations are not what they are at Oklahoma. Like, is it a top 5 job, top 3 job? Yeah. But like you're not gonna have the same fanfare unless you win in national championships. Other than that, people don't care out there, bro. They just don't. So he'll be able to recruit talent, but yeah, that's the whole. That's why I think he decided to go to USC. Now, why he did it the way he did it, I don't know if I'll ever understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. It's counter to who he's said that he was and who he's portrayed himself to be, even in his recruiting, which, well, yet to see if his recruiting will take a hit. But for me, I think it would, based off of how he recruited on the whole family kick, and then to do what he did, the way he did to recruits and players, and even some of his staff, that just seems like BS.
Chris, what about you? I know you got some stuff you need to get off your chest.
Man, be honest with you, I'm sorry, but I kind of have to disagree with that. I don't think it was really about the challenge portion for Lincoln. We don't know what's going on with Lincoln. We don't know if it was something that was said, something behind the scenes, but from what I'm hearing, from what I'm talking to people, what I'm being told is the fact that Lincoln, this was kind of a foregone conclusion. Lincoln had been talking, he had already had the staff kind of divided as far as like, yeah, these guys are going with me. If you guys want to go, you can go. This was a decision that was kind of already made, something that was discussed. It just makes no sense. We've heard all of the smokescreen rumors with LSU about how there was smoke with him and Joe C about the whole about Booster and Rattler. That I was like, there's no way. You heard rumors about he wanted recruiting analysts. He wanted this bigger budget. He wanted that so he could do this and do that in the SEC. And then there's rumors that he's scared of the SEC. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what to really believe except for the fact that I know that the coach who was handed the Lamborghini, but at the same time, somebody has to drive it. It's just hard to really fathom that this could even happen. Coming into the season, ending the season, look, we lost to OSU. Granted, I think that the pass interference call, a couple of things like that, but that's for another discussion.
Terrible.
However, I could take that. 90-19, let them have that. They don't want to talk past. They don't want to talk about history. They're not going to win next week. We could do all that all night. But the fact of the matter is this right here. I could take that, but I can't take this happening. Like you're basically you gutted our program. We're losing 5-star after 5-star after our whole 23 class. Our 22 class is in shambles right now.
Yep.
But you're hoping that with the right hire, we could go and get somebody. You're losing. There's different players. It's all types of talk right now because the thing is, it's not just about the 22 and the 23 class. But when you actually think about it. This roster as whole, it's not even intact right now. You don't know who's going to be playing in this bowl game. There's talks about DOE. He's expected to enter the portal. Nobody knows right now. It's just the fact that, and I don't think that he will, but Lincoln, you almost left this OU program in shambles going forward for at least a year or two. Mm-hmm. And I get it. It's a business. It's all of that or whatnot. It's just crazy to literally sit here and say Lincoln Riley is not the coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. He's the coach at SC. I just don't know if that SC job is really good. And I get it. He has a stronghold on the Cali kids right now. I mean, hell, we had Cali Sooners out after Cali Sooners committed to us, but I don't know, man. It's just crazy to seriously think about. It's hard to sit here and say Lincoln Riley is not our guy, but he's not. And it's a realization that a lot of fans are going to have to come to, and it's something that we're going to all have to get past and just move on. And even if we did hire Brent Venables, even if we did hire I don't know Marcus Freeman or some big name or Joe Brady, it's going to heal the wound, but that wound is always going to be a scar.
Yep.
Because you're looking at this year as, okay, look, we did not meet expectations at all. Okay, we'll be okay. Let's figure this out. We have more room. We have more longitude than we do latitude because it's only up from here. But now it's just like, hell, what are we doing? You know? So
this comment that's here is what's been running through my mind all day. And Chris, I don't know if you felt that way too.
Yeah.
I just, it's hard to know because knowing Lincoln knew at some point during the year, obviously everything that happened doesn't happen Saturday night after Bedlam. They didn't just happen, right?
Naturally.
There was obviously things in the works. The USC AD said that he knows Caitlin and his girls. So like he obviously he's met them and known them well for a little bit. And so it just makes you think because I don't know if you felt the same way, Chris, but sometimes during the year you're sitting there watching the offense. And I rationalized it because it happens from time to time. Like you're never going to be perfect. And Caleb's a true freshman and he's young. And so you're sitting there thinking, man, what is happening? Like,
I thought it was the lack of scholarship running backs and Lincoln being a run prioritizing coach. That was my rationalization. I'm thinking, okay, well, you're holding on to your 2 scholarship guys for when it matters, and that makes sense.
yes, and there's a lot of things that make sense, right? The O-line wasn't as good as it typically is this year, and that was a big reason why we struggled on offense at times too. But it just seemed like his play calling, especially the last couple of weeks, just was not there. And again, not that that's a surprise. Like, it's happened from time to time. I mean, it happened in the second half of the Rose Bowl, which is probably to this point 1A and 1B of how Sooner fans have just felt terrible. I don't know. Some people probably put this over the Rose Bowl. I don't know if some people would or not, but it has that same type of feeling, like the gut wrenching, oh my gosh, type of thing. But it's reminiscent of the second half of the Rose Bowl where it seems like nothing was working, but sometimes it happens against a good defense. So what are you gonna say, right? Like, sometimes that happens. So you can't rationalize, oh, well, there's no way he's thinking about another job and that he's maybe not game plan as well as he probably should have. You don't think that, but then when something like that comes out, then you're like, huh.
So I don't know if I would go that far back in the season. I just look at it like this right here. It's uncharacteristic of Lincoln Riley to drop 2 out of 3 games. Hell, to drop 1 game in the month of November. It's uncharacteristic. Teams like you look at the Baylor game, and that's the one game that I will say. Outside of the OSU game, okay? That's the one game, Ty, I would look at you. Jess, I would tell you. I would tell all of y'all. Yo, we lost that game.
Straight up.
We straight up lost that game. And I know people will point and say, well, Lincoln's record after a bye week is not great. No. But I'll say this right here. His game plan would have been elite, though. And it does beg you to wonder, like, what was going on? Because, I mean, so many reports out there are saying that he was unresponsive. He was acting weird. He wasn't acting the way that he had normally acted around the program and everything. And I mean, I don't know. It's just funny because I don't know. It's just funny because it really is like you had 1 foot in, 1 foot out the whole time. But this last month, this last stretch just kind of shows you I guess just how lackadaisical he may have been with his approach to the games. Because I could say this right here. I could talk noise about Lincoln Riley. I could say, oh, well, Lincoln was right here, what I'll do. I could say this, say that. But I think we all would agree that come next year, come the year after that, Lincoln Riley is going to. I said it last night with Fanatic Perspective and all of them. Lincoln Riley is going to be the Bob Stoops. He's going to Lincoln Riley to the Pac-12 is going to be what Bob Stoops was to the Big 12 initially, as far as flipping this whole conference upside down, because teams are going to have to keep up with him. I know people are going to say, well, Iowa State and Baylor and all the rest of these teams. Okay, that's great. But at the same time, going out there, when you're looking at it, I look at a team like Utah and I say, yo, y'all, they're pretty much what Baylor is this year. Then you look at Oregon, you say, okay, well, Oregon's kind of like closest thing to an SEC team that he's going to see, I guess, out there. But Lincoln Riley's going to run through this conference. And in typical fashion, he may drop a game to somebody. He damn well may beat a Oregon and a Utah and a Washington and a UCLA, and then drop a game to Oregon State or to a Cal, somebody like that he has no business losing to, in Arizona, right? But at the same time, I have no doubt that he's going to run through this conference. Yep. But you look at him and you say, man, what you were setting yourself up for at OU with these next 2 classes and these next 2 years, I don't care if you were going to the SEC. I don't care if you were going to play in the NFC South. You're most likely going to be successful, but I guess it was just too good to be true. And he fooled us all. He fooled us all.
Jance, you're an outsider like myself, just as a genuine college football fanatic. What's your opinion on all of this from the outside looking in, and now hearing these 2 OU content creators giving their perspective?
When I first heard this news, the first person I thought of was Chris, and I just thought of, man, I really hope he's not crying. I hope he's all right, man, because this is like it shocked me. We haven't seen anything like this. Probably the closest thing I was to a coach that we've probably seen do this is Urban Meyer. When he left Florida after the 2010 football season, a lot of people would kind of say the same things that they're saying about Lincoln Riley is because the opportunity, right? Urban Meyer saw that the SEC was getting a lot tougher. A lot more teams were trying to catch up, which was true because the next year you had around 6, 7 teams that had 10-win football seasons. It was the SEC was in its prime back then, and Urban Meyer got out of there, and a couple years later went to a weaker Big Ten conference and brought a style that the Big Ten never seen before, and of course created a juggernaut, which was Ohio State, right back up to prominence. So Lincoln Riley, I feel like is kind of doing the same thing here. He's taking advantage of an opportunity of going to the Pac-12, and the only thing I hated about this, because I don't, again, if you want to go to the Pac-12, you got to do what's best for your family. I don't like how he just didn't tell anybody. Like, did he didn't tell, he didn't talk to anybody. He didn't talk to the players. And you can just tell that we've always, every fan have said this. If Oklahoma had a defense, Oklahoma's competing for a national title because their offense is just that elite. And all they need is just a top 15, top 20 defense, play good earlier on in the season, or stay undefeated in that stretch. They're making it to the national championship. And I was just shocked to see midway through the season that this offense was it's like they were trying to figure out who they are, right? With the whole quarterback situation with Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams, and just the offensive line not really performing like the way that they used to, and the running game not really being that impactful. And now it just kind of just makes sense. It was just like, what was the preparation going into those games?
Yeah.
Because, Oklahoma State, they're a good football team. They're not better than Oklahoma. I mean, let's be honest. They're not better than Oklahoma. It's just, they're not, Baylor is not better than Oklahoma. Oklahoma can blast any one of these teams, but it just seems like something was missing. Something was wrong. And it's just unfortunate that, as fans, we have to speculate. What did Lincoln Riley truly prepare? Did he truly go in for the program, or was he just thinking about the USC move the entire time? And it's just for him to not only leave, but then like literally in a few hours, Alex Grinch is gone. You have some other guys from the staff that are going to be leaving, and then you have all these decommitments, and then Oklahoma just had another decommitment today. They had Demetrius Hunter. He just decommitted today. So you look at all the decommitments, Malachi Nelson being gone, Raleigh Brown being on flip watch. Like, that is just, we are truly seeing a program just being gutted because Lincoln Riley did not want to be honest. He didn't want to be honest to the fans. He didn't want to be honest to the administration. He didn't want to be honest to his players. And again, it's an opportunity. Lincoln Riley is going to build an absolute juggernaut over there in the U.S. Over that Southern Cal, but it just seems like just such a scummy move, man. At least Urban Meyer kind of had the decency to tell Florida that, hey, I'm going to be leaving. Weeks prior, I'm gone. Lincoln Riley, he didn't tell anybody about this. That just kind of talks about the character, man. I don't like that move that Lincoln Riley did.
It really hurts, and I'll let you go, Andy, soon. But I was just gonna say, it really hurts his character right now because, granted, we felt some type of way about his play calling this year. Granted, people felt some type of way about his brisket. But granted,
don't bring the brisket in here. The brisket deserved none of the attention it got. That poor thing died so that Lincoln could kill it again.
I'm just saying.
He had us defending it too.
It's just mind blowing the how much hate, like, because people were already up to here, but the fact that when he did this, how he did it and how it went down, it was like, all right, cool. I can take the muzzle off now. Like, I'm about to just go in on you completely. Like, this is how I felt about you for a while, but I wasn't going to say it because I would say I was on my way back from court, going back to the office, and I was listening to the radio, and I was listening to the radio, and people were calling in talking about Lincoln. And I heard some things I've never heard before about Lincoln, and people were calling him soft. They were saying he's He's a good coach that should have stayed an OC. He was never ready to be a head coach. He's too lighthearted. He doesn't discipline the players. He can't keep them going. I mean, I heard stuff on the radio. I was like, that's kind of unfair. Like, it's Lincoln, man. Come on, it's Lincoln, baby. Like, he good. We good. 6 years in a row. All that, blah, blah, blah. But now it's just like the masses of people, a mass section of OU fans are coming out and they are just calling it like it is. And it's hard to disagree with them. I don't ever want to judge a man's character, but when it comes to something like this right here, it's kind of hard not to.
Yeah. No, I agree completely, bro. And I don't know if you've heard the term before, but Ty, I've told you this. There's a group of Sooner fans throughout the season who were called sunshine pumpers. If you were positive, right, about what was going on, I was consistently called that. My buddy Travis, do you know who Travis is? Travis Davidson, Chris?
I heard the name.
So he owns a couple restaurants in Tulsa, Trey's Bar and Grill, Cardinal Club, and then Brick Brothers. But anyways, he's actually been he cooked for the Champion Barbecue. His smokers are actually still at Lincoln Riley's house, believe it or not. That's crazy. He doesn't know who to call to get them. That's kind of funny. But anyways, he was also typically called a sunshine pumper. And just in talking to him and what we're going to do for our show on Wednesday, it just makes us feel so dumb. Like, because we did defend, right? Like, so often, a lot of the things, like, bro, you need to, like, we're winning. Like, we're a 10-1 football team before Oklahoma State, right? Or we're 9-0. Like, why are you tripping? All that stuff. We said all that stuff. And now it's like, with this happen, it's like, it's almost like scales are coming off. And you're like, I could kind of almost see what some of these people were talking about. Like Chris said, like, he's soft, or people didn't like Benny Wiley, the strength and conditioning coach. I've heard that for 3 years. And I put it to the side because I was just like, bro, you can't blame the strength and conditioning coach. Like, people aren't like, listen, it has to be deeper than that. Like, I said all that, but it's just crazy looking at it all now. Like Chris said, when you can step back and take the, kind of the faith, the loyalty that you had for a coach that, the state of Oklahoma would have done anything for. And I'm not, obviously, and if somebody that don't know my story, and Chris, you may not, I was born and raised in Indianapolis. I have no family up here. All my family is from Oklahoma, from Ardmore. My mom graduated in 87. My sister currently runs track. She's a sophomore at Oklahoma. So, like, even though I live up here, I'm basically an Oklahoman by proxy, right? Yeah. Like, I swear by Brahms. Like, I try to tell people all the time up here, like, yo, you need to go to Brahms if you get down there. But anyways, it just the people in Oklahoma, like, they love their coaches so much, especially when it comes to Oklahoma football. You look at the Switzers and now Stoops, and I mean the receptions he's gotten after he stepped in that press conference and said what he said today. It's why people come to Oklahoma, because of the reception that you get, the fanfare that's there, what the people will do for you. And when you treat the people like this, a la Kevin Durant, some may say this is worse than what Kevin Durant did. The vitriol is kind of what you're going to get.
Ty, let me jump in real quick.
Yeah. Before you do, though, Jaden Hazelwood has just entered the transfer portal.
Oh no.
So with that, I'll let you go, Chris. And then I have a list of things I would like to answer from all of y'all.
Hold on, I'm looking.
What? Yeah. No, I wasn't trying to be inattentive.
It's crazy. It's crazy because I felt like something was going to come out of that. Because I'll tell you off camera. But here's what. God, Lee, that just blew my mind. Hot damn. Like, whoa. All right, so
hey, as y'all can all see in the chat, we do this live. There's no script that goes out. This is all off the top of the head. This is in the moment. This is live.
So check this out. So I was just going to say that, talking about the character and kind of like what he did. I've heard reports of Benito yelling at him and other players being mad. I've heard reports of DeMarco Murray calling him out. I've heard all these different rumors about exactly what happened. But the one thing that it has been the common denominator out of all of that has been the fact that he was there for somewhere between 30 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think I think you can look at him leaving. You can look at him in a USC shirt with OU team issue Jordans on still, which I don't know why. You can talk about Grinch and all the rest of the staff still showing up in LA with OU gear on. You can talk about all of that. But I think what burns fans the most is the fact that he did the players like that. He did the team like that. They had to find out through social media, all the rest of that. It's tough. And now with Jaden Hazelwood going, like I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't know who the hell is going to play for OU during this bowl game. I really don't know. Like I don't.
So, I've been sitting here and kind of thinking and really trying to piece together kind of a culmination of our thoughts on this. And I think all of us arrive at the same conclusion in the sense of we all understand college football is a business, right? And as such, in business, if you're offered more money at a location such as California, it's very enticing. It's very hard not to take that. None of us have a problem with that. We all take issue with how it went down, right? And I've seen some people commenting that, oh, well, he just did a business move. The very first portion of this was a business move. Everything that came after was not a business move. And even then, just because you do a business move does not mean you did it the correct, ethical, or with integrity. And that's the problem that I'm having with this. And Chris, to your point, JP, to your point, how do you recruit off of family? And this is a close-knit situation when the reports are saying that, and I could be wrong in this. If I am, please stop me. But if y'all have heard the same, then I think we're probably on to something. Bob Stoops made him talk to the players.
That's something else that has been tossed out there as well. And I mean,
That's a fact.
Okay.
I think to even piggyback that point, or even to top that point, the fact that you had a parent come out and say, "I was literally in his house 2 days ago with my child,
Cam Dewberry,
eating dinner and look at this man right in his eye, and he says this." It just does not happen around Oklahoma. It does not happen like this. It just does not.
Nope.
Let me, Jance, to your point, I thought for people that are just joining, I think Jance made a phenomenal point because we started this off and I was saying I can't recall too many hires or situations like this. And I think Jance named it. The closest we can think of is Urban Meyer leaving Florida for Ohio State. I think that is a phenomenal point. And JP, to your point, when you were talking about being a sunshine pumper, that's where I kind of kept doing, because you were never wrong. There's always multiple ways to look at a situation. Yeah. I backed off of Oklahoma a little bit throughout the season. I still kept saying, look, if this team gets it together, this is a phenomenally talented team, and they're injured in the secondary. That is something. Once it comes back, we'll see. But something didn't seem right all year long, right? And you correctly, and I even did it. Okay, well, we're not going to see the same formations on offense when you only have 2 scholarship running backs. Why would you do that week 2 when you have playoff aspirations? If one of those guys goes down, you're in some trouble. So we could rationalize all of these oddities we'd seen up until the point where we couldn't. And that's where we are now. So now we're in a situation where, all of you have brought up great points, but Chris, to piggyback off of what you said, he did that to a recruit, but then at the press conference the night before, He's not going to LSU. I get it. LSU isn't USC. If we want to play semantics here, we can play the semantics game, right? I'll play the semantics game with you all day. But the point of the matter is everything set itself up for this to be a massive surprise, and everybody's taken back. This isn't something that Lincoln had told people, hey, I'm in talks with USC. I think had he told them that from the beginning of the season, nobody would have a problem with a large portion of this, right? Poaching, we can get into that afterwards, but now it brings us to the step in this conversation that is the only next logical step in the conversation with who replaces Lincoln Riley? Who is the next guy? Because much like Lincoln Riley, they're inheriting something that has been hurt, but is still a really good thing to inherit. So Brent Venables is a name that's been connected to the job. There's been Matt Campbell connected to the job. There's been Luke Fickell connected to the job. I think Brent Venables makes sense. He's got experience at OU, great defensive coach. What are y'all's feelings about moving forward from this? JP, I'll start with you.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of people today, and the biggest consensus, like you said, is that Joe is singling in on Brent, but Josie is probably by most accounts the best AD in the country, if not a top 3 AD in the country. And you're never going to really know with him because of that, which is good. Obviously, it's a scary.
Silence is nice.
Yeah. You want to know as a fan, but at the same time, like in Josie we trust, like most Oklahoma fans say. Like there's really
not to interrupt you, but there have been a lot of coaching hires not go through because people weren't silent. Not going to get into who, but I think I could shock a lot of people if I got to naming some coach hires that could have been had people kept their mouths shut. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think it's got to be somebody that is going to commit to being tough and physical, having accountability within the program. That's something that I've kind of had come out and up. Obviously, I had heard that throughout the years, just about Lincoln being there and how every year since Bob left, it seemed that the culture of accountability was kind of going down. When Schmitty went to A&M and Benny Wiley came on the staff, and that they were just trying to kind of be more their friends. And I didn't want to hear any of that because we were still getting results, obviously, and whatnot. However, like just with some of the stuff that's coming out, it makes you think about it. And so I think ultimately having somebody that's going to establish that in the weight room and be able to establish that mentality that we're used to, honestly, at Oklahoma as Oklahoma fans, because obviously the new age kids think that Oklahoma's never played defense, but that's just not factual.
That's not true. That's not true. Truth. Growing up, they were it's funny when we were young, JP, Jance, and Chris. You're not that much older than us, isn't it? When all of us were young, that was what Oklahoma was known for.
Yeah, they were simply known for their defense, man.
Yep.
So time changes all, but it's not a program that has always been synonymous with offense. It's a well-rounded institution.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I'll be quick here. The biggest thing that I've heard from a lot of fans, at least, is, they want to keep all the offensive people. And so, the name Joe Brady has been thrown out there and et cetera. But, I don't know what Josie's going to do, as no one does. But if I had to put a personal opinion on it, I probably would say be a defensive coach. Just because, again, like I was talking to you before the show even started, Ty, we've seen a lot of coaches that aren't, quarterback gurus or offensive geniuses as head coaches. We've seen a lot of those type of cats win national championships, not as much that are the QB guru or offensive geniuses at the head coach level. So you don't have to have that. Is it nice to? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we've benefited from that the past 4 years, but it's not necessarily indicative of having a championship team or a championship culture. And you can still get a great offense, still have a great offensive coordinator, a la, Joe Brady at LSU in 2019, or whatever name you want to use.
Let me jump in here. So, there's the things that I'm hearing or whatnot is that Joe C loves the up and comers. So I think that getting a Joe Brady would be a no-brainer because you're gonna keep that offense. Here's the thing with a Joe Brady, okay? Here's the thing that is, and bear with me because it's gonna be hard to even say this. Joe Brady has something that Raleigh doesn't, which is no, I'm not gonna say a ring. I'm gonna say NFL experience. So he's been around those months. So who's not to say Joe
He's also
Brady
got a ring. You're not wrong.
Let's say that Joe Brady can't bring one of those guys with him.
Mhm.
Let's say that Joe Brady can go and get a coach out of the SEC. He can go and do that. I've already said, hey, if you ask me, one guy that I would say go get Dave Aranda. Tell Dave Aranda and pair him with somebody. You got to get rid of offensive line coach. He can come be the offensive line coach. As far as play calling, if Dave Aranda came today, Dave Aranda would have to go get him somebody nice. A Kendall Browse, a Joe Brady, if he can. Snag him back from the league, bring him back and say, hey, let's get this. We can do this here, and we could have LSU here at OU. As far as like what they're recruiting and all the rest of that. But if you want to go with a defensive guy, here's two guys. I like Marcus Freeman a lot. I think he would relate to players. I think he would be great with it. I think that he'd be somebody that I would look at and say, man, defensively, I like what he's doing. I saw what he did in Cincinnati. I saw what he was doing this year as well. And I'm sorry to say this right here. I don't care where we're ranked right now. Notre Dame is not a better football team than us. Even on their best year, they're not. So the caliber of player that he's going to be able to get at OU is going to be way different than the type of player he's going to be able to get at Notre Dame with their GPAs and all the rest of the academics, like how hard it is over there. He's going to be able to get way better players because not everybody's going to be able to meet those standards. But another coach that I would give you, the second of the two, if you want to go defensive, if you want to just stay defensive minded, is Georgia's DC.
I've heard that too. I heard Dan Lanning's name a lot before Brent came up.
Dan Lanning, Brent Venables, those guys right there. You look at Venables and you say this right here. Venables, if you come here, we don't run Tony Elliott type offenses. We don't. You need to go get you an OC who's going to do his thing. Nobody's asking you to go out there and get a five-star quarterback, but we need a really good quarterback. We need competition. But the thing is, you look at those guys, you say they got heavy ties to the SEC. They got NFL bodies, and they got a resume of NFL bodies, NFL guys. Yep. Okay? Every year they see a Kenneth Murray, they see a Neville Gallimore. It's not just, every 2 or 3 years we get one or two of those on defense. No, it's going to be a collection of those guys. You're going to see those big guys. You're going to see a lot of these defensive recruits come back simply because if you put a name out there like a Dan Lanning, if you put a name out there like a Marcus Freeman or a Brett Venables, guys are going to be like, well, kind of want to stay. Kind of want to see what's going to happen with that. And if you go and get a really good offensive coordinator, you're not going to be able to salvage a Malachi Nelson, Malik Brown, people like that who have serious home ties and live 10 minutes away from USC.
That's tough. That's uniquely tough.
That's going to be tough. But you'll be able to salvage this team. You might be able to go back and get Theo Weiss, get Jaden Hazelwood, and get them on board and say, hey, you've been here this whole time. Finish it out.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to going and getting a defensive line. However, Joe Brady, I just like that. I love it. I love it. I don't want to go safe either. I don't want to get a Matt Campbell. I think Matt Campbell, Mark Stoops, guys like those are safe picks. But as far as like a sexy name out there that is just like I love it and I like it, Joe Brady.
Could you convince Joe Brady to want to recruit? Because apparently
that's what I was about to ask. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I mean, Joe Brady is same swagger, same type of coolness that you would have with Kingsbury or Lincoln Riley. It's going to be the same type. It's going to be ramped up. It's going to be cool. He's going to be a young guy. People are going to get behind him and want to see what his offense can do, what he can do. You're going to see people get behind him. You're going to see us get back to doing some of the things that we're used to seeing OU do. But I think a guy like him would actually go out there and say, no, I'm about to go get a great defensive line. Because as much as we want to talk about, nobody's talking about the scapegoat here. Not a scapegoat, but nobody's talking about the guy in the back that of all the pictures with Riley. Grinch. I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad Grinch is gone. Speed D was great while it lasted, but good riddance. Good riddance.
It wasn't going to work in the SEC either.
No.
And I want to hit on that right there. I want to get Jance's point on that right there. To answer Roberto's question, what about Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator? If you can get him away from there, by all means, but I think he's one of the hottest names in all of football at any level. I mean, everybody should be called. I'll put it like this. He should be everybody's first phone call. Yeah, I mean, the guy's a brilliant offensive mind. Jance, talk to me about what you think that OU should do or what you would like to see them do next.
Well, first of all, I mean, Eric Bieniemy, man, is a phenomenal name. That dude is one hell of a football coach. But I agree with these guys, man. I mean, you know, Joe Brady, if you want to keep that same Lincoln Riley swagger, but you just have a much younger version and a guy that a lot of these college football players can respect. You can go with Joe Brady, right? If you want the tough physical guy, there's Marcus Freeman of the world, right? There's the Dan Lannings of the world. If you want, again, and I know, Chris doesn't like it, but if you want to go with a guy that knows how to build a winning culture, a guy that is starting to kind of build his way up to establishing a culture in lower tier programs, there's the Mark Stoops of the world. There's the Lane Kiffins of the world. If you want to try to go after those guys, hell, I even throw another name in there. Sam Pittman is another name that you can consider, right? Sam Pittman, honestly, is my favorite choice. I think he's better than Mark Stoops. And I think, honestly, Arkansas, if they can get from a recruiting standpoint and just the trajectory that they're going right now, Sam Pittman, Arkansas might be a 10-win football team in about a year or two. I mean, those guys.
He certainly got them trending in a good
those
direction.
Kids,
I think it's too soon for Pittman, though.
Yeah,
I don't think we could pull him.
Yeah,
not because of the. And I'll sorry.
No, go ahead.
Not because of the money. Like we'd be able to pull him, but I'm saying I think he's Arkansas through.
He's down
and through, right? Like again. Like we expected Lincoln to be through and through for OU. Sam is actually that for Arkansas. So I don't think that we would ever be able to pry him, no matter how much money or prestige we threw at him, to be honest. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys could though, that would be. I think that would honestly be a great hire because again, the dude is loyal. He is extremely loyal. He knows how to get kids to buy into the culture. And I mean, these kids believe in him. These kids believe that the trajectory that they're going in about 2 or 3 years, they could be up there potentially with the Bamas of the world. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. But for them to be a consistent winning football program, I can expect to see that. Mark Stoops at Kentucky, he's honestly, he's had seasons where he's done that. And again, it's Kentucky. Kentucky is not known for their football. They're known for being a basketball program. But they've had multiple 9-win football seasons. They're one more win away from having a 10-win football season if they can win their bowl game. And if you just look at the amount of talent compared to the Floridas, the Georgias of the world, Kentucky has done extremely well there. So I know Mark Stoops is not, he's a hot name, but he's not really the hot name that Sooners fans would want to have. But he does have ties. I mean, again, you look at what's going on.
So I'm sorry to cut you off, but I have to say this. This is the problem, and I think JP will back me up on that. A Sam Pittman, a Mark Stoops, guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to the SEC. We don't want to just revert back to what they're doing. They could come here and make a lot of noise in the Big 12 next year, and that's all fine and dandy. But going back to the SEC, are they going to be able to recruit at that same level? I'm not going to say that OU is a blue blood. OU has an extreme amount of wealth, a large amount of wealth. I'm not going to say that Kentucky doesn't, but I will say this right here. Mark Stoops can't just build this program and downgrade and say, okay, we're going to go and live and die by 2 and 3 stars, JUCO players and stuff like that, and we're going to just develop them. I get it. I want better development. I want all the rest of that. I know that we've struggled with lesser talented teams and lesser star teams, if you will. But the point of it is, this is Oklahoma. There's a certain standard of football that we play around here, and there's a certain standard that we expect. And I don't think that going forward, I don't think that they would meet that expectation, because the thing is that I'm looking for people who are going to get recruits. Even with Grinch's scheme was great in the Big 12. How it would have fared in the SEC, I'm not totally sure. Well, kind of am because of Florida last year, but still, I felt better about it because it seemed like we were finally starting. Yeah, we got bigger on the back end, but we needed to get bigger on the front end as well. With Ty, what's his name? Denny Brownlow.
Gabriel Brownlow Dindy.
With getting him, that was a step in the right direction. You're getting
Derek
those
Moore
type of
as well.
guys right now. Yeah, Derek Moore.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Who's decommitted, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
What's
said, did you know that he's decommitted right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can still get him back, but yes.
Yeah, but you're just saying that with a guy like Brent Venables, I even like this coming in right here by Frightening Truth, but with a guy like Venables, a guy like Aranda, those guys are going to go and get those SEC type of bodies that we need because they know the storm that's coming. And the biggest thing is that we just need somebody who's looking forward. I want somebody who's going to come in here and not only talk about today, but is going to forecast to the bigger horizon, to the bigger picture, which is when we get into the SEC. I don't think OU is going to be like Texas next year and go 5-7, but would I be surprised if the coach came in here and he struggled? No, I wouldn't. But it just depends on who you get, because a name like Joe Brady comes in here and he has a extremely uncomfortable conversation with the Caleb Williams and says, "Hey, look, I get it. I see what he did. He's the QB whisperer. He's the QB guru. All the rest of that. Look what I did with Joe Burrow."
True.
I was your lead recruiter. Yeah. I know you. We have a history. Let's do this. Joe Brady's a guy who can actually say, "Hey, I get it, Malachi. I get it. You want to play for Lincoln. You were committed to OU because of Lincoln. But look at what I'm doing now. I took what he started, and now I continued what he did, and I'm making him into a star. Come on. Come right back." So a guy like Joe Brady is somebody I would love to see on campus as head coach, because I know that I can salvage my recruiting classes and I can keep this thing going and we wouldn't take a dip.
I think to your point with the whole Dave Aranda situation, I think one advantage I think he also has that Lincoln Riley couldn't have was that Aranda has areas of recruiting where Lincoln Riley couldn't touch. I think he has a base in Louisiana where, again, only Alabama was the only school that simply had built their camp, built their base there, and they can simply grab whoever they wanted to have.
And that's because Nick was at LSU.
Exactly. And Aranda has that base at Louisiana, right? You look at the Alabama area, you look at the Georgia area, right? You look at some of those particular areas that Lincoln Riley just couldn't touch. Aranda has those advantages. Plus, you have to add on what he's been doing at Texas. At the state of Texas, the local Oklahoma area. So I think Aranda, honestly, and I think you make a good point too, Chris, was that I think Joe Brady honestly will be a better offensive coordinator than I think a head coach. I think give Joe Brady a little bit of time. I think, at the age of 32 years of age, I think he could be a better pro coach than honestly a college coach, because you have to relate to these kids. Yeah. You have to be just not only a coach in the field, but you have to be a father. You got to have that father mentality off the football field. And I feel like with Dave Aranda, and some of these other names, right, the Marcus Freemans of the world, these are alpha personalities, and I just don't know if Joe Brady has that alpha type of mentality yet. But I think as an offensive coordinator, to kind of build up with Dave Aranda there at Oklahoma, I think Oklahoma can become a juggernaut very, very quickly.
The question I would have about Joe Brady at the offensive coordinator position is, would he be interested in a lateral move like that? Especially if there are reports that he's already not supremely interested in recruiting. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree with all of you. If you can get Joe Brady, I love that hire, because what that guy does from a schematic perspective is incredible. And Chris, to your point, that's why I was so awe-inspired when Coach Ed O had the gall to get up there and say, "Oh, it wasn't Joe Brady. It was our offensive coordinator that's been here for 5 years, and we've continued to have an offense that is inept up until we get Joe Brady."
Yeah.
It was very obvious who changed it, so there's no doubt about that. I do want to hear from y'all about whether y'all think Joe Brady would make a lateral move, as well as I want everybody in here to go check out Trap House Boomin'. If you don't know his content, fantastic content creator. Trap House, if you want the link, shoot me a message in the chat. We'll get you in here to get your take on all of this as well. But y'all go check out his content. He makes fantastic Oklahoma content. Really good dude. Absolutely worth your time to follow. Absolutely worth your time to check out. Really, really solid guy. Absolutely deserving of it. But with that being said, I want to hear from y'all. You think Joe Brady would be interested in a lateral move like that?
I think he would be. I mean, right now, Carolina's not happy with Matt Rule. The Panthers are not happy with him right now, and we all know that if Matt Rule goes, that entire ship is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So, depending on how everything else goes, and plus the offense hasn't really performed. I don't think it's entirely Joe Brady's fault because of injuries, and obviously, you have a whole bunch of things that have become apart. But from what we're seeing so far at the Carolina Panthers, Joe Brady might not like that experience. He might be a coach that says, you know what, if I'm ever interested in coaching in pro football, I need to go to the college level. I need to prove to myself that I can hang. And I feel like, honestly, I think he honestly will make that. I think that is very realistic, especially joining a force like Dave Aranda. Now, if it's not at Oklahoma, it could be at Baylor, honestly, if Dave Aranda decides to stay. But I feel like with the connections that are tight with Joe Brady, it everything falls with Dave Aranda right now.
I can agree with that. Chris, what do you think?
I was just thinking about what Big Bird Bag Hodler? I don't know how to say it, but that's not bad. That's not the worst thing. Shane Beamer and Venables as DC. I just don't think Venables leaves Clemson to be your defensive coordinator. If Bob Stoops can pull it off and get one of his boys back, I'd be fine with that as long as it's not Heupel. But Shane Beamer, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. For some odd reason today, I was literally sitting in my office. JP, you'll probably get a kick out of this. I started daydreaming about who will be the next head coach of OU. And it was the most disgusting thought that I had. What if Brent Venables came as your defensive coordinator / head coach, and he brought Dan Mullen with him as his offensive coordinator?
I thought about that. What if y'all hired Dan Mullen and I was going to lose it? I was going to make one of those videos that you made for Texas fans specifically for you, Chris. Oh, I had already found a costume. I was going to get a set. It was going to be glorious.
I'm just saying. JP, what would be your thoughts? Because nobody's throwing their name out there, and that's somebody I can see.
Yeah. I mean, as an offensive coordinator, I don't hate it. I don't like him personally. But as an offensive coordinator, though, I mean, dude is good. So
he is.
Whatever needs to be done for Oklahoma to get back where it needs to be. And I'll say this too, and I'll let you continue, Chris. I've seen a lot of. First of all, I need to hear about this video that you made for Texas fans because that's hilarious. Texas fans always they be in my mentions all the time. You guys, Ty, I texted them today. I said, "Can you please dunk on these Texas fans for me?" Because they love to hate on me because I make videos and you always cried about Texas. Whatever, we'll get into that later. But anyways, they were saying, well, now you guys are going to enjoy 4-loss seasons like us and like Tennessee and like all these other blue blood programs. You're going to turn to Nebraska. And I said, look, I looked at straight face. I said, you know why we're different than all of these other schools and institutions? We got Joe Dan Castiglione. That's why. That's why our administration is elite. We're not worried. We're not worried. He hired Bob Stoops. He hired Lincoln Riley, who, again, was pretty good. We don't like what he's done right now, but he's pretty good. So if there's one person to trust, it's Joe C. We're not the incompetent administration of Texas. We're not the incompetent administration of Tennessee, of Nebraska. We're not there. So we'll be fine.
Would y'all like Bill O'Brien?
No, excuse me.
I'll give y'all
Yeah,
Bill O'Brien.
Absolutely not.
Hell no.
What about Doug Marone?
You can keep him.
People are throwing out Bill O'Brien.
You guys want Doug Marone?
Let me sweeten up the deal.
No.
I'll get you a nice gift basket, 2 bouquets of flowers, and Bill O'Brien. What do you say?
And
You
Doug
can give me
Marone.
110
And
million
Doug
and buy
Marone.
2 of my houses. I still wouldn't do it.
I would trade you a bag of air just to be quiet with that. Nobody wants to entertain
come on.
that.
Look,
that's messed up.
We
Look,
might
bag of air.
keep going from y'all, though. I wouldn't be mad at that.
How about Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien?
No. It's either one. It's one of the other.
Hold on. Look what Bill O'Brien did with Penn State. You don't want that guy?
Hell no. I saw what he did. He left that program and that quarterback. Hackenberg never even made it. He really had a real shot after he left.
So Bill O'Brien, we landed on y'all taking him, right?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask y'all a question.
No.
There's 2 coaches who have 10-year deals, okay? Mel Tucker and James Franklin. I want no part of James Franklin. Mel Tucker, I'm just not a fan of going and getting Alabama coaches. That's not what we do. I think Sark, I think that experiment is going to probably run its course here in probably the next year. I think they wanted him out this year. There's a lot of them that wanted him out, but next year for sure. But I don't know. What I was gonna say, I'm still stuck on Joe Brady. I think if I had my top 5 right now, I would say Joe Brady, Dave Aranda, who else? Probably Mario Cristobal, Marcus Freeman, and then I could probably and obviously Brent Venables. I think that's my 5 right there.
Yeah.
Okay, JP.
I think Brent Venables is just on the top of my list personally, because I think he can get you back to and understands what it means to be Oklahoma. And I think especially in a situation like this where it just feels like it's been gutted, somebody that can rally the support of the fan base like him, I think would be immense. Now, I'm not saying if you go and get another coach, they're not going to be excited about it, but I think Brent will get not only the players or the fans, but some of the players. So definitely former players back in there and everything like that. Probably after that, I would agree. Joe Brady, I think would be a great name. Dan Lanning, if we could pull him too,
that'd be a great one.
I wouldn't mind that. I'm telling you that right now. And then, yeah, probably I've heard Luke Fickell. I don't know. I'm still iffy about that one. I think he's done great at Cincinnati. But I'm not saying he is Tom Herman, but I don't want it to be like a group of 5 coach that comes to a big time program and then
that's fair.
So I'm always skeptical of that as well. That's probably I'd probably leave it there, but I like Chris's list too. I'd be good with any of those guys, but Brent's probably at the top for me personally.
So, gents, when we're looking at the coaching carousel right now, we've talked about how this situation unfolded. We've talked about names to look. From the outside, when you're looking at the coaching carousel, what's the most intriguing job open right now to you?
Oh, it's got to be Oklahoma. I think that is now the most intriguing job right now in college football because of all the resources. It's a blue blood program. The culture. I mean, it's just Oklahoma is a dream job, and that is what's just so shocking about this entire thing is that you have a coach that is leaving a position that 99.9% of American of coaches that coach football in this country would dream of going to.
Yeah,
and you leave that. You go ahead.
I hate to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I would love. I almost want to record you saying that again because I can't tell you how many people I've talked to today that have told me, "Oh, you was not a top 5 job." I'm like, no. Are y'all not like? Thank you for saying.
Wait, top 5 they didn't think it's top 5 available right now.
They didn't say top 5. I'm saying top 5 in general. I'm saying
Okay,
top 5.
well, I mean, even then, yes, but like,
even then, but yeah, but they just that like somebody told me today, and I'll let you continue, Jance. They were like, well, good luck in your head coaching search. Like, we're not gonna find anybody. And I was just like, who do y'all think? Like, we've been disrespected, bro. And Chris, I hope you feel the same way. It's so disrespectful that like people are acting like Oklahoma is just like the last 20 years. No, bro. Like, we're a whole brand. We're Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, USC. We up there with them. Stop. Put some respect on our name. All right, continue.
Yes, continue, because I have something I'd like to add to that afterwards. But Jance, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's just like, I mean, you got great leadership. Again, you got the I mean, did you see that coach's desk at Oklahoma?
Bruh.
I mean, my God, all those watches. How do you not want to be a part of that?
Like, office is crazy.
My goodness, the athletic facilities. Again, it's a football state. I mean, come on, that is a dream job that 99.9% of coaches in this that are coaching right now would dream of taking that position. And I think every single besides Nick Saban, every single college coach, I think if they ever hear an offer from Oklahoma, they're going to consider it. They're going to really highly think of that, because if you go to Oklahoma, you are going to put yourself in such a good position to succeed compared to anywhere else in the country.
So here's the thing to keep in mind about like a LSU and an OU. These are kind of like the pros and cons, or the compare and contrast. LSU is year in and year out. I think everybody says no secret. LSU is always one quarterback away from being a legit threat to win the SEC West. Always. But they can't seem to get it right at quarterback. Once every like blue moon, they get it right at quarterback. OU is pretty much right now, you're saying you're an offensive, you're a defensive way. I wouldn't even say defense. You just, because you have a pulse now. But I think it's going to be an overhaul now, so I really don't know what to say about OU. But I do say this right here: you may be one quarterback away at LSU, but you're not going to have the same leadership behind you. You're not going to have the same administration.
Short leash at LSU as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, the short leash, it also gets me into what I wanted to say. And I don't want to get the wrong timeline down, but I said this in my video, and I think it needs to be talked about not only in the context of what we're talking about here, but it needs to be heard in the larger context of college football. Okay. Chris, JP, if I'm not mistaken, it's a 21-year drought this season since the last national championship. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And look, that's a while. Only one team wins the national championship every single year. Only one. Only one. And sure, Oklahoma is one of the programs that should be in contention for it more than they aren't. And they have been. But during that time where OU hasn't won it, we saw a phenomenal Texas team pop up in the early 2000s, as well as a phenomenal USC team, which then got handed off to sensational Florida teams. Truly sensational Florida teams. And then we have entered the greatest decade of dominance we've seen in college football from Alabama. Only one team can win a national championship. Just because Alabama's on the greatest run we've ever seen does not diminish the greatness of other teams. The one thing I've always just gotten a little bit frustrated with is sometimes I feel like people try and standardize themselves to Alabama. And I get it. That should be what everybody aspires to do. But at a certain level, are we to sit there and say like, well, this is the greatest run in history? We're trying to peg ourselves to the greatest run in history. It's the same reason I get a little bit frustrated when Clemson, as great as they are, they win a national championship and everybody says they're the next Alabama. You've won one. That's fantastic. You have to do this year after year. And so for people to tell you, JP, I bring all of this up because for people to say, oh, well, it's been 21 years since OU has won a national championship. Yeah, and look at the time that we've had past then. Look at the teams that have won it, and we've been in the greatest decade of dominance we've ever seen. Only one team can win a national championship. That does not diminish the greatness of other teams within college football. That's something that's always irked me because there are great teams every year, only one team can win it. It doesn't diminish that other teams aren't great, right? People talk so bad about Georgia. Georgia has been a phenomenal team the past 5-10 years, right? Just really solid. They haven't gotten over the hump, sure, but the hump in front of them was Nick Saban, right? And I mean, you look at Oklahoma, right? That Kyler Murray team. That team had a chance to go in a national championship. The hump in front of them was Nick Saban. You looked at the 2018 team. The hump in front of them was a defense or lack thereof. It's not like OU hasn't been there. They've been one of the few teams to make the college football playoff. So I don't get this thought of because you haven't won in 20 years, you're not a great program. That's not rooted in reality at all.
Let me jump in here because this goes with what you're saying. I'll let you guys get back to this. USC just posted on Instagram and it's on Twitter as well. They just posted what Lincoln Riley said at presser. This is going to be the mecca of college football. Well, if you go to the comments, Isaiah Thomas he comments on it. He says, "Told us that last week." So it's stuff like that where Isaiah Thomas tried to keep it so professional on his podcast with I think Sooner Scoop, right, JP? But he tried to keep it so professional, so cool, so lax. But like, it's almost like it's like Jekyll and Hyde over here. Like, who the hell is Lincoln? Like, who is he really? Because he's sitting here and I'm just like, there's no way that's real. No, it's real. So it's crazy, man. That's crazy.
I'm not going to name names, but like I said, my sister runs track at OU, and she's got a couple friends on the football team, and they're hot. Like they want to. Some of them cats wanted to fight Lincoln it's because of this. Like, and this is going back to what I said at the beginning, and why I still like. Will Lincoln recruit? Well, probably the compliance department at USC is nowhere near the compliance department at Oklahoma. We'll get into that another time. But he'll probably still be able to do whatever he wants to do, get good recruits. So recruit stay California, he'll be fine. But I don't know how you can sit here with everything that will come out and you can, as a parent, say, I'm okay with this guy, right? Like it's some of the stuff the players are saying true. Like some of them, like, do they say, well, I'm the man I am today because of Lincoln. That can still be true while this man still sat up here and did what he did, lied about a family culture, literally like Isaiah Thomas apparently just said, told them that, OU was going to be making college football last week. And now he's at USC saying the same stuff. So how can you trust him? How can you trust a guy that leaves a job like OU, like you were saying, Jance, for USC? And that's where the disrespect has come because they're all like, oh, well, USC is such a better job than OU. I mean, can you look at the bright lights of Hollywood? Who wouldn't want to go out there? All the money they're paying. I'm like, okay, I hear that. That's why I got an argument with a Texas fan earlier today because all he wanted to say was, you idiot, don't you know that money runs college football? And I was like, you idiot, don't you know that you haven't realized that money is not the reason you win games? Because that's what y'all think of Texas. And what has it gotten you? Did we have enough money to retain Lincoln? Yeah. Could we have? Yeah. But that man is about to make more than Nick Saban.
He's not worth more than Nick Saban.
He's not. So why are we
going
to pay him more than Nick Saban? That's why I said, why would we? And we actually almost did. We actually offered him that $12 million. Why would we do that? That's what I'm saying.
They actually matched him.
Yeah, they were willing to. They were willing to match him. Joe was willing to match him. Bob, they were working on a deal. Literally, were working on a deal to match dude and give him everything he wanted. And he didn't. That's why I was saying at the beginning before you got on, Chris. They didn't know about USC until Sunday morning.
Yeah,
that's why it's so like why we're so mad because it's so like he could have said it's not that he left. He literally could have said, "Yo, like we were talking about the Urban did with Florida." He could have said, "Hey, I want this. I want this for my family. I want this opportunity as a coach to say I brought USC football back." Can Joe and Bob have argued with him and say, well, we're on the same level as OU football? Yeah. Could they have negotiated or just said, you know what, we don't see the same, let's split, a la LSU at Orgeron? Sure. But he didn't even give them the opportunity. That is what's messed up about this whole situation.
See, that's the part that blows my mind, is the fact that a contract extension was talked about and put forth. And that's, I think it gets us back. I've had, I made the video today and I've had people saying like, oh no, that's not it. You can't kind of convince me that right now he just didn't want to be in the SEC like that. Are we all of the same agreement that I'm not saying that's the factor. I'm saying that's a factor.
A factor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What percentage would you put on that, Jance? If you were, what would you think are the reasons are? Because this is just so strange.
I want to say like maybe around 10-15%, but it's kind of like, it's hard to just imagine a coach leaving a program like Oklahoma to go to USC. It's so hard to like, I'm like, even thinking about it, it's just like, it's still kind of just wow to me.
Unbelievable.
It's like, I might have to give it maybe 35% because maybe Lincoln Riley didn't have any say. Like the only thing that I can consider that maybe Lincoln Riley wants to leave is that he just didn't really have that much say in the program. Maybe he's a guy that just wanted to have a lot of control. Maybe the athletic administration was just telling him what to do so much often, and maybe he didn't like the direction of leadership. It's just I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me. And the SEC, I think that definitely is considered a factor, but it's like just watching, like I'm watching his press conference and just reading the comments from Oklahoma fans and former players, and it's just a giant bombshell that these players weren't even told, that coaching, that as far as no one knew about it. It seemed like the only people that knew about it were the LSU media writers. It just seemed like they were the only ones that kind of knew about it. So it's just, it's crazy. It's just, it's still kind of crazy thinking about it. But if I have to give it a percentage, maybe 35%.
So the thing I'd like to end this on, and I want to talk about, and we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but a lot more people have come in here. And for everybody coming in here, the two Oklahoma fans I have with me today, JP and Chris, these guys know their stuff. If they say something about Oklahoma, it's from a good intentioned place, well thought out, and everybody knows Jance. Jance is an incredibly intelligent individual who loves college football, and he's always going to come with a very formulated opinion. Saying all of that, it was brought to light that, to me at least, I want to know what the most surprising thing is about this whole move to each of you. And to me, it was the fact that it was brought to light that he wasn't even going to talk to the players, that he was about to just dipset out of there. And it took Bob Stoops to say, you have to go talk to them, basically for a hi-bye conversation. That, to me, is the most shocking. That was wild to me.
Wait.
JP, what do you think?
Yes, that is wild. I will answer that. Are y'all seeing that Brian Kelly's going to LSU?
Yeah, that's been in the works since earlier this afternoon.
I didn't see that. That's the first time I'm seeing.
Yeah, wow. It's wild.
I'm gonna have to talk to my buddy. He's a Notre Dame fan. He's gonna be up.
Is he really? Right. Oh, he's gonna
be. Yeah. Will you say the last phrase that you said, just so I can remember clearly?
Yeah. So basically, I want to know what the most surprising, because we've talked about all of the angles from this, right? And we need to also wrap this up with some recruiting talk before we get out of here. So after this, for me, the most surprising thing was having Bob Stoops force Lincoln to go talk to the players, especially as you've said, as Chris has said, you're recruiting off of family, and you didn't even have the gumption or the balls to go tell your family what happened.
Yeah.
What are y'all's takes on that and the most surprising thing in the whole situation?
Yeah, I've been shocked, and one of my tweets that's being probably put up for freezing cold takes, and I did it myself because I can laugh at myself, but Texas fans have been doing it all day. It's literally, I was arguing with somebody like, I think the day Friday or Thursday of last week, and I was saying, this was before obviously USC, it's LSU. So I was like, look, it makes no sense for Lincoln to go to LSU. Here's why. One, it will be completely left of who he said he is, because he said he's a culture guy and he's at a top 5 job. He said he's family, culture, he's not leaving. One, okay, that obviously was not true. 2, I don't know how many of y'all know this. Lincoln literally built a house here, or not here, but in Oklahoma, based on recruiting. Trae Young's the neighbor, right? That's the house that my friend Travis has his smokers in right now. That's a fact. That's why it blew everybody, because it makes no sense.
See, to be fair, though, the house thing never really meant anything to me, because when we're talking about millions of extra dollars a year, you can sell a house.
No, sure. And but that's what I'm saying, Ty, is the house, it wasn't even necessarily just a house to live in. It was literally based on recruiting.
Like, okay, then that's fair. I didn't know that the house was based on recruiting.
Literally with Trae Young as a neighbor. Literally with
DeMar. Okay, like, never mind. That's fair. That's fair.
So that's number 2. And then 3, I said what we're all saying now. He would turn out to be a fraud and he would be exposed. Is that not what's happening right now? And so that's why I said he's not leaving for LSU. And it's getting quote tweeted and put on Old Takes Exposed, right? Because I said all that. And obviously he left, not for the LSU, but for USC. And so, yeah, that I think that's the whole shocking picture of it, is that we felt strongly enough. Joe Castiglione and Bob Stoops felt strongly enough he wasn't leaving, and it happened, and he didn't say anything. And it's nausea inducing.
So I'll just say this, Ty. I get that point. I see what you're doing, see what you're saying. Point blank and simple. The most surprising thing that happened is the fact that he actually left.
Well, no doubt. But to me, like, you can make
not to even get into the dramatics of it. He left. We call it a Lamborghini. We call it this. We call it that. Nobody. If you're not going to take the LSU job, there's no way you're taking the SC job.
I mean, I understand that for sure. The way I look at it, though, is I can understand leaving a job for more money.
Yeah.
I can get that, especially when it was released. And to be fair, at the time, I didn't know OU had matched, especially when you're getting paid more than Saban, right? Like, I can understand leaving for more money. I cannot understand undermining everything you apparently stood for in the process of doing it.
So that's also a big thing, but it's just the fact that you left and you went to USC when the players that they all wanted, Gentry, Williams, Malik Brown, Malachi Nelson, the list goes on. I can go from the school that Malachi Nelson's at with Makai Lemon, all those USC players. You're getting them here.
Yeah. How? It makes no sense.
You're getting them here. You don't have to go and build some fortress or do any of this stuff right there. It's just like, you don't have to go do any of that. You have them. What does USC really have to offer you besides an everyday vacation for your wife and your kids? And I don't even want to bring his wife and kids into this. I just dropped a video and I had to clip them out of the clips that I put in the video that I dropped. But hey, go and look at that video. I'm telling you, Ty, JP, JS, hey, I'm telling you, y'all will laugh about it. But anyways, what I was gonna say is this: that's the most surprising thing, that Lincoln left. That we're sitting here today having to talk about Lincoln Riley, Bob's boy, the prodigal son, pulled the biggest Anakin Skywalker move that he possibly could have.
Oh my God, he did.
It's Star Wars all over again. We've seen this time and time again. For all you Star Wars nerds out there and geeks, That's
I feel
basically
personally
what it is.
attacked.
This felt like the Red Wedding. If you ever watched
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it definitely felt like the Red
It really
Wedding, for
does, because there's a
sure.
different turn every time we.
He's Joffrey now. He's nobody but Joffrey. He's a
Oh
child.
no.
But all jokes aside, though, no. I mean, Ty, just point blank and simple. That's the most surprising thing. The money, you could throw money at him all you want. He's still going to have to pay those taxes at the end of the day. We could get into all those numbers if you want. But the fact of the matter is that instead of having the 5-star running backs that you're going to have this year coming into your class, now you got to go and mess with a Keontae Ingram and Jackson Dart. But people are saying that he's also Texas Homer. People are saying that Lincoln sent a message on his way out to Spencer talking about, hey, wouldn't mind having you at USC. Yeah, he did that. But it's just, like I said, there's nothing more surprising than the fact that Lincoln Riley is not the head coach of OU. It's just point blank and simple. That's what's surprising, Ty.
Yeah. Jans, what do you think?
Oh boy, I'm just looking at this just from a recruiting standpoint, man. I'm looking at the I'm sorry to get off topic here a little bit, but I'm just looking at the top 30 of Californian recruits. Only one player is committed to USC out of the top 30 recruits for Southern Cal. Only
That's
one.
about to change.
And that's about to change. And now that Brian Kelly is potentially going to LSU, CJ Williams from Mater Dei, I can guarantee you he's going to decommit.
Probably.
He's going to fully think about. You look at Nawate. That's a dude that could potentially decommit. It's just, this is insane to me just thinking about this. Damani Jackson just decommitted from Southern Cal. Why? Because they don't know how to develop players. And he's literally down the road from Southern Cal. You don't think he's going to
Matter Day?
You don't think he's going to think about that? St. John, like the Trinity League, the toughest league in high school sports. Football. It is the closest thing to college football imaginable. And it's literally in the backyard of Southern California. It's right there. And now you have all these kids from Servite, St. John Bosco, Mater Dei, J. Sarah Catholic, Orange Lutheran,
St. John Bosco.
St. John Bosco. I mean, this is just Centennial from Corona.
Centennial, I mean, yeah.
My goodness gracious. And
how many more names do you people want? Are you not entertained?
Oh my God, Inglewood. You want to throw an Inglewood in there? You can do that. So many of these kids from the De La Salle from the, I mean I can go on, but from the CIFS Division 1 and CIFS 2 leagues, two of the toughest leagues in all of college and all of high school football. And Lincoln Riley has that at the back of his pocket. But just to Chris's point, you already had that at Oklahoma. You were
getting it there.
You had Raleek Brown, and then you potentially had Larry Turner, Gooden. You had potentially Rashawn Luke was considering Oklahoma. Justin Martin. I mean, this is like you had these kids. You had everything built. You had a culture. You had everything was built in front of you where you can recruit from anywhere in the country. I know a kid named former 4-star recruit in Seven McGee from East Rochester that went to Oregon. I talked to this kid mainly on a daily basis. I can't tell you how close he was to going. He committed to Oregon since the 9th grade. He told me that he was considering Oklahoma very, very strongly. And he says, well, again, Oklahoma, they have a nice culture. They have everything. But if I go to Oklahoma, it's because of Lincoln Riley. It's because of what he brings to that culture. And I already know if I go there, he's going to put me in the league. You don't think these kids, not just from Southern Cal, but all across the country, are going to have that same mindset? You don't think these kids from Arizona, where Hamilton and Sakagoro, and then you have to look at Nevada with Bishop Gorman. You don't think those kids over there not from the West Coast are not going to think about going to USC now? Oregon was the only preliminary power there when it comes to a recruiting aspect of football. Their window is closing. Their window is now closing, and now it's a takeover from Lincoln Riley and USC. And it's just sad to me that Oklahoma, you can do whatever you want at Oklahoma. But for some odd reason, and we're not going to find that out until someone asks Lincoln Riley about why he left Oklahoma. But it's just still crazy just thinking about the situation, guys. It's really crazy.
And this might be petty to say, but I sincerely, I wish the best on Lincoln and his family, like genuinely. I want his girls to grow up well and everything. I really do hope Los Angeles treats them well. However, from a football perspective, I sincerely hope recruiting backfires on them. And that people, seriously, and that people hear what happened here at Oklahoma and the way he handled things, and that the parents will come out of the woodworks and say all these things about these things, and that people will just not want to go there anymore. It probably won't happen, but maybe. Now, California, I think, is a foregone conclusion because he can recruit USC. But as far as the national thing, I truly hope, I sincerely hope that doesn't happen, because as much as Lincoln has put people in the league, he's not the only one. That's why
it just depends. I think the right now, recruiting wise, I think the person who's going to hurt the most is probably Mario Cristobal, because if Lincoln Riley and Grinch are at USC a year or two ago, Justin Flo, Kayvon Thibodeau, kids like that, they don't leave California for Oregon. They don't. It's going to be hard for him to go into California and tell somebody, hey, you should come play for me. No, I'm going to play for the new toy, for the new guy, for the new person on the block, the new kid on the block, who I think he got a little bit more flavor than you. You know what I'm saying? So, man, this is just tough. This is just tough to even like really fathom, put my head around the fact that I'm not like, I don't even care about Brian Kelly going to LSU. He's gonna have to produce. Problem is that he can't bring he can't do what he's done in the past. Brian Kelly, as great of an offensive mind as he is, he's really struggled putting out some really good quarterbacks. I think Ian Book was probably his best, and I think we all feel probably some type of way about Ian Book. He's in that Brock Purdy type of tier in college football, if you ask me.
That's messed up.
Yeah,
but
it's a fact, though.
Yeah, it's a fact, though.
It is.
It's a fact.
It is. So, guys, I'm going to end this out right here with this right here. Okay. I said it in the video earlier. Right now, Oklahoma is in a position where they have options in front of them, and the options can be good. But things have to shake up sooner rather than later, and that's not a pun, or no pun intended. Because as every second passes, recruiting is being hurt by this actively. You know, even we talked about before the cameras were rolling, a Marvin Jones Jr., right? There was chatter on Twitter yesterday about how all the decommits had happened, and Marvin Jones Jr.'s mom was like, well, he's out too. He's not committed yet, but he's done. They don't want any part of this now.
Yeah.
You don't think Alabama and them aren't jumping for joy at that? And let's be honest, right? You can love OU. If something like this happens and then Nick Saban's the one that calls you, I don't care how much you love OU. Nick Saban just called you. You get my, like, that's completely, recruiting is something that is going to be a hit in the short term. I know everybody's worried about the 23 class, and I get why, because of the sensational guys you had. I'm more worried about the 22 class, because early National Signing Day is a few days away, and National Signing Day is a month away. And that's when he left. Then. Now, it wouldn't have made it right had he signed a class and then left. That's not my contention here. It's just the reality of the situation. This really hurt in the timing. Yeah. I mean, really hurt. And we've seen it with the decommits. And, you know, I think the thing that's the hardest is, like Hayes tweeted out earlier when he was doing all of his edits. This isn't it. I mean, he tweeted out yesterday that this is not it. There's more. There's more coming. Who? I don't know. But it's just... And luckily for Oklahoma, you have Brent Venables, right, who is now very realistically being pursued. You have all these names that you're pursuing, but it has to come sooner rather than later. And luckily for y'all have a phenomenal athletic director to be able to kind of sort some of this out, because goodness gracious, it needs to be sorted out. But with that being said, I want to give everybody their chance to do some closing statements and then to let everybody in chat know where they can find you at. JP, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're Oklahoma. We'll be okay. It's gonna suck. It may suck for a year or two. It may not. I mean, who knows? We could be shocked. We could be surprised. We certainly have been surprised these last 48 hours. But we are a blue blood, program, and we will be fine. We'll bounce back, especially because we have elite administration. So I'm not worried about it. It just sucks the way it went down. It just leaves a disgusting, terrible taste in your mouth. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Indy_Sooner. That's at Indy, INDY_Sooner. Then you can find me. My YouTube channel is Indy Sooner, just Indy Sooner. You can subscribe. We're doing a show. Me and Travis are Wednesday. We do a live stream every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. I'm trying to get Ty to come on the show Wednesday. We'll see if he can or not. So maybe you'll see your boy there. Maybe you see your boy there too. But come check us out. Appreciate y'all having me tonight. It was fun.
Always, man.
Hate talking about this stuff, but hopefully we'll have better days ahead.
It's like a death in the family, man.
Facts, man.
Chris, you want to let them know where they can find you at? There have been some people asking where they can find you in chat.
All right, so you can find me Horns Down Podcast on every podcast platform out there. I host a show with my friend Seth Oliveris. You can find me and Chris with a K. Ty, we gotta start putting our names up here, our handles up here on the video, man.
You're right, we do. We'll have that next Monday.
This guy, but yeah, you can find me at Chris with a K on Twitter.
Football, man. That's it.
Everybody, hey, for real, go and check out this video that I dropped. It's titled "Goodbye Lincoln." So, but with that being said, I guess my final statement on the whole Lincoln Raleigh thing is good riddance. Bye. It is what it is. It is what it is. I devastated, shocked, been emotional about it because it just felt it just put me in a foreign space for real. But I would say, hey, we're gonna be okay. I don't know when, I don't know where, but we're gonna be okay. We'll be all right. But damn, Lincoln Raleigh is not the coach of Oklahoma football, which I won't say that he built the program up, but he revitalized it. He did all of this. He was the prodigal son. He was the chosen one. He was the next one. Lincoln Raleigh is supposed to have a statue out there next to Bob Stoops, but that probably will never happen after this now.
Nope.
So my only thing is that you look at Lincoln and you say, I hope that you can live with this decision, because 3 years from now, 3 to 4 years from now, we'll all be looking back at this decision that you made, and it may be good, it may be bad.
Yeah. Jance, what are you thinking? What are your final thoughts? And then let them know where they can find you at.
Well, you guys can find me. Of course, you guys can find me on YouTube. Just type in Jant Sports. You can also hit up my social media links at Twitter at Jant716, Instagram Jant Sports. You guys can hit me up there, slide me a message. I will respond to every single message that you guys have. If you guys want to talk football, we can talk football any day of the week, 24/7. I'm ready for it, especially if you want to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners. I know LSU fans right now are jumping for joy about Brian Kelly right now, saying that, hey, we finally got our coach. We're going to beat Alabama every single year. I would just say to LSU fans, just sit down, relax. Your big brother is your big brother's time is right now. Maybe you guys will have your time and, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years.
Next century.
Maybe next century. Maybe, when I'm dead, but no, that's not happening right now. But if you're to all the Oklahoma fans out there, man, just keep your heads up, man, because this is just, this is betrayal. I get it. Your heart has been crushed. Your heart's been broken. But you guys are the University of Oklahoma. You guys are one of the blue bloods, and you guys actually have something that other blue blood programs don't have, and that's good leadership. You guys got great leadership. You got great facilities,
Facts.
great culture.
Yep.
And you will find, and I'm telling you this right now, and I said this earlier, 99.9% of coaches would dream of being in the position that Lincoln Riley was in, that
Yep.
Ryan Day was in. Like, very rare do we see coaches inherit something that was passed on to them, and then all of a sudden they were able to kind of carry it. Oklahoma is going to find a coach that will have it. They're going to find that coach, and again, it might be a rough maybe year or two, but Oklahoma, they're eventually going to get back to the top of the Big 12 conference, but by the time they get back to the SEC, I actually think it's going to benefit Oklahoma in the long run.
Yep.
I think they're going to find a coach that fits that SEC mold, that fits the SEC standard. They're going to adapt to this situation. And I feel like from a recruiting standpoint, I think it's going to make them a lot better. I think Oklahoma will be a national championship contender in no time. But I get it. You guys are angry. Lincoln Riley betrayed you guys. I trust me. I get it. I've been in horrible toxic relationships where I've been betrayed, but eventually I got over it. I got over it. I may think about it sometimes, but I got over it. You guys exactly will feel the same, man. Oklahoma will be back better than ever.
Yeah, before I close this out, Glenn, the only positive that OU had with Lincoln in that regard is they could have worked out a scholarship or an endorsement deal with Rogaine, but I don't think that that's going to be something that we're going to be seeing coming up. Guys, this was a great time, as always. For those of you we stream every Monday at 5:30 Central Time. This is a very standard stream, and just so everybody knows, this is something where, JP can attest to this, Chris Jantz, there's no script that gets sent out. I don't even tell these guys what we're going to be talking about. This is all 100% in the moment, off the top of the head, and exactly how we feel about everything. And that's why I do it this way, because it's relaxing, it's authentic, and it's real. So go check out all of these guys, because that's what they bring to their content every single day. And that's something that's huge, is authenticity. And this is a group that has it as well. Texas Homer, go show him some loves. Absolute phenomenal content. Trap House Boomin was in here earlier. Another great content creator. That we got a lot of great content creators on the YouTube sphere right now that we all need to get together sometime soon. But with that, thank you all for tuning in. Go enjoy some Monday Night Football, and we'll be seeing you real soon. That's it. See ya.